Can you hear me? I hope so, because my phone went in and then out. I'm going to see if I could see it on Facebook. Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Super excited for Friday, even though we work all weekend. I don't know why, but it still is wonderful to be here on Friday. So, hey there, I see I have a viewer. Is that you, Hayden? Can you see and hear okay, I hope? So, today's, it's wonderful to have this ritual of every Friday we do a live video. Last week's was fun. Oh, good. Hayden says you can hear it, so that's wonderful. Last week's was fun because I was speaking at a conference, so we did it from the conference. And today, I'm going to talk about how on your farm, what's really important. Hey, Christine, so glad to see you. Something I wrote about yesterday in an email, and that is about that better is not better on your farm, but instead different is better. And I'm going to go in deeper into this. And what this came from is an email I sent out to everyone yesterday about the 8 traits of successful women farmers. And one of those, and so I'd like to spend some of these videos going deeper into some of those and what they mean. So the one today we're going to dive into a little deeper is that better is not better, but different is better. And here's what I mean by that. There is a ton of noise in the farming world, the farm fresh products world. What I mean by noise is there is people talking about it everywhere. If you look at who's talking about farm fresh products and who's advertising them, you could even include in that some grocery stores. You know, your competitors are not just the farm up the street selling grass-fed beef, but also your perceived competitors could be Whole Foods, could be Walmart, could be restaurants that have a little meat case in them. We have a lot of those around here. So there is a whole bunch of industries, people, individuals, groups, Facebook pages, Facebook groups, talking about farm fresh products. There's tons of noise, and you have to stand out if you're going to be successful. And being better does not help you stand out. So if you think that I'm going to have GMO-free feed for my chickens or something, and therefore they will be better chickens, then that's not going to make a difference. Or if you say, well, the neighbor they rotate their beef cows to fresh grass every 3 days, we rotate ours every day, therefore our meat is better and you should buy it. That is not going to stand out. Nobody cares about that. What I really mean in this is that you have to be different. You really have to find what makes, you have to bring more of yourself into what it is you do and your business, and that way you will stand out. Now, I have some ideas for you to do that. So, as an example, one of those is when you go to my farm website, for an example, it does not look like any other farm website you've ever seen. And it's not because I went out somewhere and found a designer that could design a different website or anything. It's because my farm website is all based on my personality and some things about my ideal customer, but it's me shining through there. And when I look at your farm website and your marketing materials, I want to see you shine through too. What is it that makes you different? And I want to see that on your website. Most farmers are looking at other farmers' websites and copying them. And so they're all looking the same. They're all sending the same message. Nothing about it stands out. And also that's a fast track to failure because 80% of farmers are not around in 2 years. You know, they're gone. And only 2% of farmers make it to the 5-year mark. So you are modeling yourself after a failing business if you are trying to copy other farmers' websites. And I see a lot of that. And you're saying the same messages. So in this very crowded market out there, you've got to be different. Now, how do you figure out how you're different? There are a number of different things that you can do that. For instance, what is your story? What is your story about your farm, about why you do what you do? Because your story is different than my story, and it's different than the neighbor's story. And everyone has a story, and if it's interesting enough, that can be how you're different. So ours is a story of healing. And we started drinking raw milk, and my kids healed from eczema after 6 years of eczema in just a couple weeks. So that story of healing and that idea of food as medicine permeates everything we do. It permeates all of my marketing, all of my talks when I speak at conferences. It's in our farm store. Our employees know their own personal stories of healing, and I hire employees who have healing stories. So our healing story and our farm as a food as healing and food as medicine is something that makes us stand out. It's one of many, many things. So again, I'm asking you to look at what makes you you, and you're going to make more of you. You're just going to make you, but that thing that makes you you, you're going to make it bigger, and you're going to emphasize it in everything you do. Here's another way to do that. For instance, how are you more persuasive? So think of a time when it's really easy for you to sell something. And it may not even be your own thing. Maybe you're selling something at your kid's school to raise money. How were you able to sell it? What did you do that made you so persuasive? Did you connect with people? What were you doing in that moment? And that's what you want to do more of. You want to bring more of that out as well. So again, another way to find out is, what are people telling you about yourself? And if you're having a hard time identifying what makes you different, figure out what people are telling you. Do they say, wow, you're really smart. Wow, you're so smart. Every time you answer my question, it just comes across as so smart and intellectual. So maybe your marketing is going to take on a smart, going to emphasize that, the intelligence line. I want to give 3 examples of friends of mine who have done a fabulous job of making more of them shine through in their marketing, and it's what's made them successful. All 3 of these women were customers of our farm and have gone on, well, a couple have moved away, and then one has gone on to have her own farm. And so I knew them personally. And one of them sells eggs. Now, I can think of maybe 50 people right now that I know in a 20-mile radius who are selling eggs. Not one of them stands out except this lady. And she is, when you meet her, she's just a wonderful person you're drawn to immediately. She sells her eggs in pink egg cartons, and she is Christian. She does journaling with Bible devotions every single morning, and that comes through in her marketing, and you'll see that on her Facebook page. And she's married to a wealthy man who owns a hedge fund company, and they own this big, beautiful ranch, and then they own this big, beautiful home here, and they spend time between the two. She embraces that. She is who she is, and all of this shines through her marketing, and she sells her eggs for an enormous price in an elite part of town near here. That is who she is, and that is her marketing, and she is just emphasizing more of who she is. And what I want to point out, though, is this is natural to her. She didn't take a class on how to do this. She's doing what's natural, and I want to emphasize that because it's natural to all of us, especially us ladies. It's already natural for us to, we have our great personalities already, so just emphasize that and make it bigger. And, good question, Christine. I'll get to that in a second. So my friend that sells the eggs has taken what is natural to her and she has owned it, and she's confident. And that would, if you think, well, then I'm going to get pink boxes, pink egg cartons for my eggs and sell them, and then I can charge more money. That won't work because you are looking outside yourself. And the answer to a successful, profitable, woman-owned farm is to continue looking inside yourself for all these answers. Everyone who comes to me for consulting or the courses we teach, we start out by, they ask, well, where can I go to do this? Where can I go to do that? Where do I get this? Where do I advertise? All that. The first thing we have to do is turn that thinking around, that if you do that, you will continue to look like every single farm out there. You will not be different at all, and you won't stand out. So again, you've got to look back in yourself because you already have this knowledge Studies show that most of us know everything we need to know to be successful in our life and our business. It's the difference between applying it or not applying it. So I'm here to encourage you to apply it, and you've got a great support group in here. So I want to tell you about another friend who she was a customer, and she moved away and started her own thing, and she has dreadlocks, and she's probably 35 and 2 boys. And no matter what you think of a person with dreadlocks, you know, some of us have connotations. She is this wonderful person with dreadlocks, and she calls herself Wild Hair something, and she raises sheep, and she writes beautiful poetry. And so this beautiful, really kind of wild poetry, and her wild hair and her dreadlocks and her wild sheep are all part of her marketing, and she's successful. And you see that shine through in everything about her business. So she has owned what's already her. And again, she didn't take a class to do this. She has just made more of her, she's just taken herself and just shined it brighter. So I'm, again, encouraging each of you, what is it people tell you you're really good at? Turn that in your marketing. And Christine, I know you just asked a question, what if you aren't persuasive? You don't have to be persuasive. I never persuade anyone to buy anything, ever. I don't do that. Our farm store, my employees are hired to make people feel at home the moment they walk through the door. That's all they do. Their job is to make people feel at home when they walk through the door of our farm store. And you know what happens? They buy, and they buy tons of stuff because they feel at home. They feel this connection. Now, and that's something, just as another example, one of the things that I'm really good at, because people tell me and I see this, is connecting in person. I'm good at that, and I hire people that are good at that in our farm store. And so that is one of our things we accentuate in our business, is we capitalize on this ability for all of us to connect in person. We know if we can get someone out to the farm store, they will buy something because they feel this connection. And people buy with emotion. They buy with relationship. They don't buy because you put a sign out that you had something there. If you have any questions, feel free to ask those. So back to Christine's. It's not about being persuasive whatsoever. If you share who you are, if you let who you are shine through in your marketing, and because you've asked yourself some questions, you've gone deep in your story and you've written it out, or you've taken what other people say you're really good at and you've accentuated that and you've let it shine through, then you don't have to be persuasive. People will buy from you. And this is not about hiring someone to design you a logo and develop your brand. That's not going to work, because again, you're going to look like every other farm on the internet who's hired someone to design them a logo and develop their brand, and they're all saying the exact same message. The only way you're going to stand out and be one of the 2% of farmers who are successful, which is very, very small number of farmers to be successful, is to find out what it is that makes you different and capitalize on that. And it's not a different breed of cow. It's not a different, kind of feed or anything. Maybe, here's an example of one. I have a friend who's pretty, I would call her irreverent. And I think a lot of her friends, that would be the word that comes to mind when they meet her, is you're irreverent. So she brings that into her marketing. Yes, Christine, I'll do that in a second. So she brings that out into her marketing, her irreverence towards all kinds of ideas. And that turns some people off, and those are not her ideal customers, but it makes the people who love her even more, and they wouldn't dream of buying their products anywhere else. Christine, yes, so some examples of questions to ask yourself to determine what makes you you. So I went through a couple of them. What's your story? Christine, ask yourself, what is your story? Why did you come to this? And if you don't have so we have a story of healing, and it's very dramatic. So if your story is dramatic, or, if it's a really boring story, you don't want to use that. But if there's a story and I think, Christine, you have a story on your website of you meeting your husband, right? How you guys met and all that. That is a cute story right there. So you want that to permeate through. The other thing is, what are people telling you? Do they say, wow, you're such a good listener? Well, again, listening is one of the things we've identified on our farm, which is really good. And people love that about us. They'll say, oh, I just love coming out to your farm and talking with you guys because you really listen and you really hear me. So do people say you're a good listener? Do they say, you know, what do you, another thing is, you know, just look at your personality traits. Look at your values. Do you value being an authority? Do you value education? So whatever it is you're valuing, what are those things people are saying about you, or what it is that makes you you? Are you a wealthy socialite who lives in town and can sell your eggs for $20 a dozen in a pink box? Then go for it. You know, you're going to be one of those 2% of farms that's successful. But I see too many farms where everything is just the same. It's not, they think they're better and they're trying to market based on being better, but they're not. They need to be different. Here's an example of another farm nearby that they're so the opposite of us, but it works for them. They are kind of have this caveman look going on. And when I see them, when they're marketing or they're at farmers markets or conferences or something, they're like dressed, they have hides wrapped around them, and they have knives in big old sheaths on their waist, and they have these big old necklaces, even the women, with these tusks or bones or something. Now that's not me at all. That would never work on my website, but they've got it. You think someone, this is going to be so crude, but you think of someone like hacking off the head of an animal when you see these guys. And it works for them because they embrace that. That is them. They are a bunch of cavemen, and they're out there slaughtering animals on their farm. Sounds terrible, sounds crude, but it's them, and it works for them. And they're very successful because of that. So they have embraced this whole it's part of their personality and their makeup, and that's their brand, and that's who they are when they go out in public. And they're crazy busy because of it. Now, if I tried to copy them and wear a bone necklace and you know, have a fur hide on me and a knife and like, hiya, I'm going to cut the head off a chicken, totally would not work for our farm. And we wouldn't sell anything because, again, we're trying to copy someone. So don't go copy what other farmers are doing. Sit down and see what you like. What is your favorite thing to do? Do you like Star Trek? Are you a Star Trek nut? And so how can you incorporate things like that and those values and sayings and things through your website and your marketing? When you do that, people are connected to what they read on your website, and they often don't know why. But they're like, wow, I really like this person. They don't know why, and it's just because you interspersed things about your personality through there. What other example? I was trying to think if I had something else to tell you about that. So I think the big thing is look at how other people are doing what you do and how do you do it differently. Maybe you have a different process that you can accentuate. You know, our process, one thing that attracts people to us is that we really accentuate being the humane treatment of our animals, almost to the point of pampering them, and we kind of have a spiritual aspect to what we do, and we say goodbye to them, and we honor them, and you know, we have 40 hogs. It's not like we have one little hog and we honor. We do this, and this trait of ours shows through in my website, and I get emails from people all the time. Now, there are other farms that don't do that at all, and they have just as many customers, and that's fine. But that's something we really accentuate and capitalize on, is the spiritual part of our, even though we're slaughtering animals, you know, and even though killing and death is part of farm life, there's a way to take that to a higher level. We write about that, and that permeates through our website too. So what is it that makes you different than me and different than everybody else? And you really want to bring that through in your website. Okay, so Christine says, so you're saying my Argentine-born, Brazilian-raised, English culture, Christian self who loves to cook and grow, who just married an African, I'm assuming you're saying African-American, and guess what? I can't see that. Oh, here it is. Okay. So hang on, Christine. I'm going to try to get your whole question in here. I think the answer is yes. If you, I can't see it, and Hayden's not here to tell me, so I can't tell what it is. But an African-American husband probably, yes. Christine, I had no idea of those things about you, and I've looked at your website a lot, so I want to see all of that in your website. Here's another one. Here's a friend of mine who owns, she doesn't own a farm at all. She owns a cupcake shop. She's married to a man, but she is a huge supporter of gay rights. And that is a very risky stance to take in your business, in life, let alone your business. But all over her website, her Facebook page, everything about her is she's a cupcake shop, and the bigger personality, the bigger message is she is pro-gay rights, and she fights for gay rights. She's one of those people that will march down the street in support of gay rights, and she's changed all kinds of things in the world because of that passion. And she has no problem bringing that into her business, and it's huge. It's made her hugely successful. So be careful of, make sure you're strong enough to take something on like gay rights or whatever it might be. But if that's your cause, I want to see that in your reflected in your website. So yes, Christine, if that's your part of your story, that a Brazilian, all that, and you married an African-American man, yes, I want to see all of that through there. That I've seen people who have been through divorce and the hardship that has caused, and they've weaved that through their website, and that's part of their message, and that is wonderful. I want to know that about them, and it will attract a person who connects with them instantly and wants to buy from them. And if it doesn't connect with them, they'll go on to the other farm. But what I'm trying to get across too is when you stand out with your difference, you're going to be very successful. And when every farm in your community accentuates their difference, you're all successful. There is no competition. Okay, so anyway, I'm trying to see if there's more questions on there. I don't know why I can never figure out how to. Oh, okay, wow, they showed up. This is great. So Matt Moore says, this message is perfect timing. I've been copying a few different successful farmers on my website that I want to be like. However, I have a great story about my son Christopher, who is handicapped with cerebral palsy. Thank you so much. There you go, Matt. So there are so many stories about you and everyday life with your son that can be weaved into all your marketing, your blog posts. There's so much about that. So take that and make that yours and make that what your farm is about or support. It doesn't have to be the singular focus, but make sure that's all throughout there, because people are going to, and it's not just the fact that he has cerebral palsy, but the way you will incite empathy in people and compassion, and they're going to be drawn to your marketing materials, and they can't identify why, but it's because you have shown them that through how you've written the things you've written. Okay, so again, unless there's more questions, I think that's about it. You've got to be different. You've got to figure out what makes you different than everybody else and incorporate that in your marketing. And it's not because you feed different feed or you have a different breed of chicken or breed of cattle or a different water trough, because I see people trying to, say, well, we water our pigs this way, therefore that's why you should buy them. That's not going to work. Find out what makes you different and incorporate that into all of your marketing. All right, and let me see if there are any other questions before I sign off here. Oh, the other thing I want to show you is if you did not get an email from me yesterday showing the 8 traits of successful women farmers, it means you're not on my email list. And my daughter created a wonderful little booklet here. Let me pull it up. Okay, I'm gonna go the other way. Okay, so Hayden created this really pretty little booklet and it's just what most people got in the email yesterday. If you go to our website and click on the download it now, download the 8 traits of successful women farmers, you'll get this. And the last part of this, she made a, here it is, this affirmations, because someone wanted to hang it on their wall. So the last page of it is this single page that you can actually hang on your wall, and it's 8 affirmations to become a successful woman farmer. Matt, you won't want to hang that on your wall, though, or something bad might happen. But anyway, you can get, if you aren't on our email list, we have so many wonderful things coming up there. Be sure to get there. And this little gift you get when you sign up is one of them. And today we deal with one of those traits, and that is that you need to be different. Yeah. Sorry, I'm making sure I don't know if my volume went out or what, but in your marketing, you need to be different and accentuate the way that you're different, and it needs to shine through in everything you do. Do not try to be better than, yeah, right, Matt, you could just cross out the W-O and then you have the affirmations become a successful man farmer. I love it. Go for it. Okay, if you don't have any other questions, we'll do another video next weekend, I think. And we're supposed to have snow here next weekend, which will be fun. So if that's it, everyone, oh, yeah. Any other things? Otherwise, I'm going to sign off. And these videos, remember, all of the videos I've ever done are up in the files section at the top of this Facebook page. We have such a valuable library going on. And make sure that you look through there. And then also this Facebook page too is full of some really great, especially raw milk information for raw milk farmers. Okay, there. I think that's it. All right. Everyone have a super wonderful weekend, and we will talk in the Facebook group, and I'll see you live again next Friday. All right. Oh, Anne had a question. Maybe you didn't see it. It's so hard for me to figure this out. I'm looking for your question, Anne. And we are brand new to farming. We're very excited to share the news with everyone, but we don't have anything to sell yet and won't until later in the I assume it says summer or spring or summer. Yeah, it would be wonderful if you could start now. Many people who take our course say that they wish they had done the course before they ever started their farm. And then we always have people in the course who are excited that they are, 6 months out from starting their farm, so they can start collecting emails and building relationship with those people and sharing things like what makes them different. Why would someone wait 6 months for their eggs, rather than buy them from another farm? It's because of that relationship, and it's because of that difference that you have to offer. So, Anne, definitely start now. I've had people who I started about a year before I brought my first cow home, so that by the time I brought my first cow home, I had people just chomping at the bit to buy our stuff, and we had a wait list right away from the get-go. So yes, you want to start on all of this now, planning for the future. It will make you far more successful and far more likely to sustain your business when you have a group of people ready to buy your products from the start. All right, so hopefully that answers your question. And ask anything you want in the Facebook group too, or you can email, but Facebook group is best. And I'll see you here next week. All right, have a great weekend, everyone. Yeah.